Shalom, everybody. I hope you're not surprised to see me on Zoom today. I'll explain, okay? You know, we say when we start, when you enter Shul, we say, Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. That was my feeling last night when I entered our Shul for the first time after weeks and weeks of it being locked and closed down. Matovu oel Yona Menachem. How wonderful it is that we can reopen the shul. There's a pasuk in this week's parsha, which meets very much my feelings this day. And that is the beginning of the second parak of bamidbar that we'll learn tomorrow. The Torah describes the way Am Yisrael camps around the Ohel Moed. The Torah says, Ish al diglo be'otot leveit avotam, meaning each family which have their own identity, they have their own flag, their own uniqueness, will camp, Yachanu, will surround Bnei Israel, Saviv, around Ohel Moed Yachanu. You know, in the days of COVID-19, of Corona, we have scattered into our flags, into our homes. We went into our basic families. We were in our homes. Then there were days that we can go out to the street, to the yard, make a minyan there perhaps. But the truth is, the way we should live is the way Am Yisrael lived in the Midbar. That you have your flag, your Beit Av, but it has to be around Ohel Moed. You know, our shul is in the top of the hill in our neighborhood, and the houses of the neighborhood are around the shul, just like in the midbar. And the shul is like the beating heart of the community. The shul is like the briach tichon, it's like a magnet that puts all these scattered people together. And how good and how important it is that the shul can function again and can be the magnet of the whole community. Now, you know that I was very much insistent that we have to close down the shul a few weeks ago, and how important it is to stay home. And the truth is, it's not over yet. We did not graduate Corona yet, but times are a little different now. And in those circumstances, when the right thing was to close down, I'm very strongly feeling that today the right thing is to reopen cautiously, carefully, gradually. And I would like to share with you some halachic concepts that will explain it. You know that I tried during these Corona days to keep the community together through learning together through Zoom, which I don't think is possible to daven through Zoom, but you can learn together through Zoom. And every day, morning and evening, I gave a shir after the time of Shacharit, and between Mincha and Meir, I gave a shir. Then we learned in the Rambam the laws of Tanyot, of fast days, which 4 of the 5 chapters are dedicated when you fast, when there's a tzara, when there's a disaster that we prayed to the Kadosh Baruch Hu to stop. And the Rambam brings a long list of these disasters in the 2nd chapter of Tanyot, and 2 of them relate to diseases. One, he says, it's on dever, plague, and the other one is on cholayim, on a disease. When you read the definition, what's the difference between them, you realize they're 2 separate categories of diseases. The sign of plague is the amount of people who die one after the other. The Rambam said if there's a city with 500 citizens, that's the proportions, and 3 of them die in 3 days one after the other, meaning there are 9 people that die, but day after day. So that's a sign of plague, that's a sign of a pandemic. We're concerned that it will spread, that it will go up, that more and more people will get sick. Well, when you read the Rambam's definition of cholayim, of diseases, it's not the rate of death, but it's the amount of people who are diagnosed with the same disease. Now, the state of Israel, a few weeks ago, all of us were in a state of dever, of pandemic. There was a true fear that many, many people will be exposed to the virus and that many, many people will get sick and the numbers will rise and go so high that chas v'sholem could have happened here. What we unfortunately are very upset about happened in other countries, in Italy, Spain, and now unfortunately in the United States, in the Jewish communities in New York. There are many dead. Fortunately, it's getting better there too. But still, I heard Rav Tzvi Shechter of Herschel Shechter this week. We were in some Zoom talk, and he shared with us how there was a time in New York not long ago where 500 people a day would die of corona, and people would come to the hospitals, to the emergency rooms, and there wasn't enough staff to treat them, wasn't enough medical equipment to help them, and he burst out crying. And as long as we were afraid that may happen here, so I know what Chazal taught us in the Gemara in Baba Kama, and Daf Samich. I quoted it to you in the Shabbat HaGadol Drasha. Chazal say, Dever Ba'ir, when there's a pandemic, when there's plague in your city, go into your house. And that was the right thing to do then. But now I think we changed to a different phase. The danger is not over. It's not that we now can have a party finishing corona. It's not over. The virus is still in the air. It still can, chas v'sholem, hurt people, and we still have to be careful. But we're not fighting now in the current numbers, in the current situation. We're not fighting a pandemic. We're fighting a disease. And we have great responsibility to make sure that we should minimize the possibility of it spreading, and most than all, to protect those who, if they get sick, it'll be more dangerous for them. And therefore, the return to the shul is gradual, limited by numbers, limited by distances we have to keep one from the other. You have to wear a mask in shul. It's not a comfortable or convenient, but doing all these together, it helps to minimize the danger that may be of spreading this disease. And I do think that it is responsible, if we keep all the rules of the Ministry of Health, it is responsible to try to return to shul, because we have to realize, and it has to be said out loud, the policy during the times we were fighting the pandemic may have been the right policies. I'm not an expert to really know what's the right way to fight it, but those were the rules of the Ministry of Health. But they pay a price, and there's a toll you pay in other areas. I mean, you put everybody in their homes and you protect the spread of pandemic. But at the same time, there are more people are affected by other causes and other diseases. I mean, we count how many died of corona, but do we actually have a broad perspective of how many people were damaged by side effects? Do we know how many people did not get medical treatment for other diseases they have, and their situation got worse? Perhaps some of them died of that. What about being lonely? What about other perhaps effects? So in life, we always try to balance between risks and opportunities and to minimize the danger in order to do things which we think are important. So when there's pandemic, when you're afraid you lose control, so you become one-sided, so you close. But when you're a time fighting disease, you have to continue being responsible. But on the other hand, to continue locking everybody in their houses, and to continue the closure, it has its price too. And that's why, in my feeling today, due to the numbers that were reported about the number of the sick, the number of those who are on respirators, the numbers of the new diagnosed patients, it seems like we're not now in a time of pandemic, but a time of disease. And therefore, it is reasonable to reopen carefully, cautiously, gradually the shul. But I would like to share with you, I see the average profile of most people here on the who are listening. We didn't forget those who cannot return to the shul yet, for those who are at risk. part of this gradual return to the shul is that we're limited by numbers, that we're limited in our behavior. I want to tell you that we're limited also, even though not by the rules of the Ministry of Health, but we did limit ourselves to try to make davening shorter, because what we were told by doctors, that the longer you stay together in a closed room, the chance of spreading the virus gets higher. But we didn't forget those members of our community who, due to their being or over a certain age, due to their medical health, that they are called to stay home and not to come to the show. And we don't forget you. I want you to know that we love you, and we don't forget that you are part of our congregation. Then we think of the Oel Moed, the Oel Yona Menachem, that all the households are surrounding it. You are part of those households, and we think of you, and we care for you. And that's why I want to share with you what we're trying to do besides our thoughts, okay? Also practical things. First of all, the community, knowing that the chance of spreading the virus in an open space is much lower than in a closed room. From what I was told by a doctor, I don't know if even doctors know all the right statistics, but it's 1 to 19, the difference. Meaning the chance to, in a closed room where there's no good circulation of the air, to spread the virus is 19 times more than if you're in an open space. And knowing that there are perhaps members, I'm saying those or even being in open space is dangerous. So I really, we can't suggest that, but if there are members, men and women, okay, all of you are members of the community, men and women, who their doctor will tell them that it's safe for them to come to a minyan outdoors, where people are careful to keep away at least 2 meters with masks. That if their doctor will tell them that it's okay for them. So we organized one such minyan, and we're inviting you to come. There's a spreadsheet we send out on the WhatsApp group. You can register. And if we will see that there is a demand for more than one minyan, we'll open another one. I would have wanted to attach you to the minyan in the shul if we can, like outside, put shade. But I'm afraid that you won't hear. It's not possible. But we do think of you. And we do want you, but I'm repeating, it's due to your getting an approval by your doctor, and please watch yourselves. The second thing is this Zoom meeting. Today I see Julian here. I saw him when he was on the street. He said to me, no more Zoom on Friday. And Julian, I want to explain to you why there is. What about those who can't come to shul tomorrow? We forgot them? No, we don't forget you. As long as there are members of our community who cannot come to the shul, we will make any effort to reach out to you. Now, I want to tell you the truth. I need your help to know what your needs are, to know what you're expecting. I can't guess it. So I'm really asking you, if there are thoughts you want to share with me, feelings, you know how to contact me. My phone number is known, my WhatsApp number, my email address. You can communicate with me and let us understand what your expectations are. How can we help? I will try, and I give a share every evening between the Mincha and Mair. I've done it through Zoom. I'm going to move that into the show, but if there are members here who would like to participate, I will ask one of the participants to, in Zoom, to broadcast it. I'll be honest with you, it won't be the same thing as these Zoom meetings. I'm going through that in yeshiva. In yeshiva, we return the boys in the capsulas, in groups, but not all the boys returned. And I give a share to boys who are sitting in front of me, and there are those who are at home watching it Zoom. It's not the same because I don't look at the camera anymore. I look at the people in the room. When I give a Zoom talk, I'm alone in the room. I look at the screen, okay? But still, I mean, if there are members who want to be part of these shiurim, they're more than welcome, and we'll make an effort to broadcast it. And we can also think of something unique only for you. So we're entering this Shabbat, as the Torah says, Misaviv L'Oel Moed. I hope that opening the shul, even for those who cannot come, it's a meaningful event. Be part of a community that can start gradually getting together. We're doing this very cautiously. We're very concerned about protecting each other. And we have in our minds and hearts all those who still cannot return. And I want you to know how much we love you, how much you're part of us, and how much we'll continue to make an effort to be together. And we're praying, we're thanking the Kadosh Baruch Hu for what until now we have achieved. First of all, that the pandemic did not outburst, that it's only a disease. That's a first thing. Second of all, we thank him that nobody in our communities here was affected, Baruch Hashem. We're upset about others, but we also have to recognize how the gratitude we have for our being able to protect the lives of our congregants. And we thank him for the ability to return gradually. And we pray for the future, that Bezrat Hashem, all of us can safely come back to the shul and we'll all be together. So I want to wish Shabbat Shalom to all of you. First of all, those who will not be able to come to shul. So more than all, I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom. You should be all well. And those who will come to shul, so Shabbat, I'll take it up. Okay. So I wish you Shabbat Shalom this way. So be well and Shabbat Shalom, everybody.